While the public was distracted by the latest celebrity-driven deepfake scandal and the synchronized collapse of regional bank stocks in the Pacific Northwest, something happened in a windowless server room in Bentonville, Arkansas, that effectively ended the era of the free market in food. On March 12, 2026, at exactly 3:14 a.m. Central Standard Time, a proprietary algorithm, internally referred to as Project Harvest, executed a synchronized price adjustment across 4,700 retail locations simultaneously. Within 60 seconds, the price of a standard dozen eggs in the American Midwest jumped from $4.12 to $15.80. There was no avian flu outbreak that morning. There was no sudden diesel spike. There was no labor strike at the distribution centers. There was only the meat algorithm calculating that the pain threshold of the local population had shifted. This was not a glitch. It was a price discovery stress test. The algorithm wasn't checking what the eggs were worth. It was checking how much you would pay before you stopped eating. Welcome to the era of the protein monopoly. You have been told that your grocery bill is rising because of supply chain disruptions and global warming. You have been conditioned to accept greedflation as a vague, unavoidable byproduct of a post-pandemic world. You are being lied to. We are no longer living in a supply and demand economy. We are living in a yield-optimized caloric simulation. Behind the curtain of the four retail giants that control 70% of the U.S. food supply, a secret task force is using high-frequency data to weaponize your hunger. They have dismantled the independent farmer, silenced the whistleblower, and turned the grocery aisle into a psychological laboratory. By the time you finish this briefing, you will understand that the $15 egg isn't a sign of inflation. It is a sign of a successful hostile takeover of the human biological requirement. The exit door to the traditional food system hasn't just been closed, it's been algorithmic alley sealed. This is the structural reality of the protein monopoly.
The visible story.
The official narrative is a masterpiece of shifting the blame. If you turn on any financial news network today, you will hear a litany of excuses that all lead to the same conclusion. It's not our fault, and it's never going back to the way it was. Mainstream media outlets have spent the last 24 months hammering home the concept of the fragile plateau. They tell you that a combination of the triple threat, avian influenza, H5N1, geopolitical instability in the Black Sea grain corridors, and the green transition costs has created a permanent structural floor for food prices. They show you maps of poultry culls and interviews with distraught farmers who claim they have no choice but to pass the costs onto the consumer. The corporate public relations machines have even coined a term for this: resilient pricing. They claim that by raising prices now, they are investing in the future stability of the food chain. They want you to believe that the record-breaking profits being reported by companies like Tyson, JBS, and the Big Four retailers are just accounting anomalies or one-time windfalls from a volatile market. Look at the inputs the analysts at Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan argue. They point to the rising cost of fertilizer, the scarcity of phosphorus, and the impact of the El Niño weather pattern on corn yields. They provide complex charts showing how energy-adjusted caloric costs have doubled since 2021. To the average viewer, this sounds like cold, hard science. It sounds like the invisible hand of the market is simply adjusting to a harsher reality. Even the debate over greedflation, the idea that corporations are using inflation as a cover to jack up prices, has been safely contained within a political framework. The left blames corporate greed, the right blames government spending. Both sides miss the point. By framing the issue as a political debate, they prevent the public from looking at the mechanics of the system itself. Official statements from the Department of Agriculture, USDA, continue to emphasize market competitiveness, despite the fact that the number of independent slaughterhouses in the U.S. has plummeted by 70% in the last 4 decades. They tell you the system is efficient, but efficiency, in the language of the protein monopoly, doesn't mean cheap for the consumer. It means maximum extraction from the captive. The visible story is designed to make you feel like a victim of circumstance, a leaf in a global storm. It lulls you into the belief that if the war ends or the flu passes, your grocery bill will normalize. It won't, because the storm is being manufactured inside a computer model.
The hidden mechanism.
To understand the fraud, we must look at the physics of monopsony. In a monopoly, one seller controls the market. In a monopsony, one buyer controls the market. Today, the American food system is a monopsony trap. The big four retailers, Walmart, Kroger, Costco, and Albertsons, now control over 70% of the grocery market in most U.S. metropolitan areas. This concentration has created a bottleneck of existence, but the hidden hand isn't a CEO in a boardroom. It is a suite of AI-driven yield management software. 1. The Agnostic Pricing Core and Pain Threshold Modeling. The core of the meat algorithm is a technology known as agnostic pricing. Unlike traditional pricing, which is based on cost plus margin equals price, agnostic pricing doesn't care about the cost of production. It uses real-time data from credit card processors, loyalty programs, and mobile geofencing to determine the elasticity of hunger. The algorithm knows exactly how much you have in your bank account via its partnerships with fintech data brokers. It knows that if you live in a food desert with no independent butchers within 15 miles, your pain threshold is significantly higher than someone in a rural area with access to a farm stand. On March 12th in Des Moines, the algorithm detected that despite a price hike, the volume decay was less than 2%. In plain English, people didn't stop buying eggs when they hit $15. They just stopped buying other things. The algorithm optimized for the maximum extraction of the essential calorie. 2. The destruction of the 15-cent farmer. The hidden mechanism also works in reverse to crush the producer. While you pay $15 for eggs, the independent farmer is receiving less than 15 cents of every dollar you spend. This is achieved through contractual serfdom. The big four do not buy from the open market. They use forward contracting and exclusive supplier agreements. An independent chicken farmer in Georgia or an egg producer in Iowa cannot simply sell to the highest bidder. They are locked into integrator models. Companies like Tyson or JBS provide the birds, the feed, and the medicine. The farmer provides the land and the labor. The meat algorithm monitors the farmer's efficiency. If a farmer starts making too much profit, the algorithm adjusts the input costs or the quality grading to bring the farmer back to the brink of bankruptcy. The result? The farmer is a ghost owner. They own the debt, but the algorithm owns the protein. When the DOJ talks about supply chain fragility, they are ignoring the fact that the fragility is profitable. By keeping the supply chain on a just-in-time knife edge, the retailers can justify emergency price adjustments at the slightest hint of a disruption. 3. The dark pool of commodities. Beyond the grocery aisle, there is a dark pool of food commodities managed by clearinghouses and private equity firms. The same algorithms that run the synthetic index on Wall Street are now running the caloric ledger. They have financialized the protein. A cow is no longer an animal. It is a collateralized protein obligation, CPO. When the meat algorithm sees a projected shortage in 2027 based on satellite imagery of cornfields, it doesn't wait for 2027 to raise prices. It front-runs the shortage today. This creates a synthetic scarcity. They can have warehouses full of frozen protein, and they do, but if the algorithm determines that holding that protein will yield a 20% higher return in 6 months by starving the market now, the supply chain will miraculously fail. 4. The HHI index and the shadow merger. The Herfindahl-Hirschman index, HHI, is a measure of market concentration. In the US, any HHI over 2,500 is considered highly concentrated. In the retail food sector, specific regions are now hitting HHI scores of over 5,000. Even though Walmart and Kroger are technically separate companies, they use the same logistics nodes and the same pricing algos, often licensed from the same third-party tech firms like YieldStar or Aptos. This is a shadow merger. They don't need to merge legally if they are synchronized algorithmically. They operate as a single multi-headed hydra that has successfully cornered the most basic requirement for human life, the calorie. The hidden mechanism is a closed loop. It extracts the maximum pain price from the consumer, pays the survival wage to the farmer, and captures the middleman spread via an automated agnostic machine. You are not witnessing inflation. You are witnessing the algorithmic capture of the human food web.
The system fights back.
As the public's anger reaches a boiling point, the system is forced to perform a controlled intervention. In Q2 2026, we will see the release of a landmark report from a secret DOJ and FTC task force. The media will hail this as the new trust-busting era. Do not be fooled. This is not a rescue mission. It is a platform transition. 1. The Antitrust controlled demolition. The upcoming DOJ report will viciously attack the retail giants for price synchronization. They will use specific terms like algorithmic collusion and monopsonistic overreach. They might even force a symbolic breakup of a few minor subsidiaries or block a merger like the Kroger-Albertsons deal. After the damage has already been done, why would the system attack itself? Because the current retail model is becoming too expensive to maintain. The physical infrastructure of thousands of grocery stores is a liability in a high-crime, high-energy cost world. The system wants to move from physical retail to direct-to-consumer synthetic platforms. By trust-busting the current giants, the government creates a vacuum that will be filled by regulated food utilities. Think of it as the post-office-ification of your diet. 2. The transition to synthetic sovereignty. During the system's fight back, you will notice a specific push for food security subsidies. Under the guise of fighting greedflation, the government will offer caloric credits or electronic benefit transfer, EBT, upgrades that can only be used on approved sustainable proteins. This is the historical anchor. Just as the 1971 abandonment of the gold standard allowed for the financialization of debt, the 2026 food crisis will allow for the financialization of the calorie. The meat algorithm will be rebranded as a public health utility. The government's solution to the $15 egg won't be to bring back the independent farmer. It will be to subsidize synthetic egg replacements produced by the very same corporations like Tyson that are now pivoting to cellular agriculture. 3. The SEC and the Carbon-Calorie Link. The system is also integrating the carbon footprint into the food supply chain. New regulations will require retailers to track the Scope 3 emissions of every steak and every gallon of milk. This is the ultimate control lever. If the meat algorithm decides that beef is too expensive, it won't just raise the price, it will add a carbon surcharge that makes it prohibitive for anyone but the elite. The system is fighting back against traditional agriculture because traditional agriculture is too sovereign. A farmer with a cow in a field is a threat to the algorithm. A lab with a bioreactor and a patent is an asset. 4. Why this time? The exit strategy is different. In 2008, the system saved the banks to save the money. In 2026, the system is sacrificing the retail giants to capture the food supply. They are following the utility playbook. First, you allow a sector to become so consolidated and abusive that the public begs for government intervention. Then, you nationalize the regulation of that sector while keeping the profits private. The DOJ's secret task force isn't looking to lower your prices, they are looking to standardize the calorie. They want a world where your food allowance is determined by your social credit score and your carbon balance. The meat algorithm was just the beta test. The system's fight back is the deployment of the full operating system.
The breaking point and positioning.
The breaking point arrives when the meat algorithm hits the caloric wall. There is a mathematical limit to how much you can extract from a population before the social fabric tears. According to our internal projections, that point is Q2 2026, the timeline of failure. Phase 1, the stock-up panic, months 1 to 4. As the DOJ report nears, rumors of planned food rations will leak. The meat algorithm will detect a massive surge in hoarding behavior. Prices will spike another 30% as the algorithm front-runs the panic. Phase 2, the retail blackout, the 72-hour window. A major retailer facing security risks and supply chain desynchronization will temporarily close its doors for a systems update. This will trigger a nationwide panic. The bid for food will go blank in major cities for 72 hours. Phase 3, the Food Sovereignty Act, post-crisis. The government steps in with emergency distribution hubs. The protein monopoly is officially regulated. Your diet is now a matter of national security. Analytical positioning, securing your caloric sovereignty. The smart money is not buying grocery store stocks. They are delinking from the industrial food web. This is analytical positioning for the era of the enclosed calorie. 1. The parallel supply chain. Institutional family offices are quietly buying micro-abattoirs and independent processing facilities. They are building a parallel food web that does not use the Big Four logistics nodes. They are securing direct contracts with heritage breed farmers who operate outside the integrator model. To survive, you must find your local node, the independent producer who doesn't use the algorithm. 2. Caloric hard assets. The smart money is treating shelf-stable protein and viable seed stock as a hard currency. They are moving away from digital food credits and toward physical sovereignty. And this means owning the means of production, even on a micro scale, or participating in community-supported agriculture, CSA, that requires a physical work share rather than just a digital payment. 3. Asymmetric nutritional density. In a world of synthetic calories, the most valuable asset is bioavailable nutrition. The meat algorithm optimizes for bulk weight, not nutritional quality. The elite are positioning themselves in high-density nutrition, wild-caught, pasture-raised, and non-GMO assets. They are betting that real protein will become the ultimate status symbol and a black market currency. The goal is to desync from the algorithm. If the algorithm cannot track your pain threshold, it cannot price you out of existence. This requires moving your food economy into the gray space, direct-to-consumer, cash-based, and local. The protein monopoly relies on your convenience. To break it, you must embrace inconvenience.
Final verdict.
The protein monopoly is the final frontier of total human control. It is the realization that if you control the calories, you control the biology. These are the 4 structural truths of the 2026 food crisis. Truth 1, the $15 egg is an elasticity test. Prices are not rising because of shortages. They are rising because an algorithm determined you would pay it. Truth 2, the Big Four retailers are a shadow merger. They use synchronized AI to extract maximum wealth from the consumer while keeping the producer in contractual serfdom. Truth 3, the DOJ intervention is a controlled transition. The system is sacrificing the retail giants to usher in a regulated synthetic food utility linked to carbon credits. Truth 4, sovereignty is the only escape. You must delink from the industrial supply chain and move your calories into parallel, non-custodial networks. You have been told that your hunger is an act of God or a failure of the planet. It is neither. Your hunger is a profit center for a machine that doesn't know how to stop. The meat algorithm has decided your diet for 2026. The only question is whether you will be at the table or on the menu. Caloric deficit detected. System status, harvest mode. Own your sovereignty.